The Bob TV Network presents, broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. It's the Bobby Brown Show. And now here's your host, Bobby Brown. Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of Bobby Brown Show. I am your host, Robert Bob TV Brown, better known as Bobby. Give me a second. I got to do something real quick. Make sure you let everybody know on Facebook and on YouTube. Let everybody know on Facebook and YouTube that we are in the house. So give me a moment. I think my music wasn't playing at all. Or my mic is just louder than my music. So let me turn it down a little bit. Yeah, so go ahead and let everybody know on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever social media that you like to partake in that the show is on and we about to go. And we about to get into some serious subject. So just give me a moment. I'm going to practice what I preach and let some people know on Facebook about this particular episode of the Bobby Brown Show. Got a lot of stuff I want to cover. Actually, one major thing that we're going to cover today. I mean, it's a whole lot of things we can cover, but we're not doing that right now. So give me a moment. There I am. Let me go ahead and post that on my main page and put "We Are Live." Hit the play button. All right, so here we go. All right, so here we go. All right, so as you can see right now, I'm not in my original setup. In another setup. I'm actually in the the Rob Report setup. But I have some things that I haven't been able to put myself in a position to get back into my other studio setup. But welcome to the Bobby Brown Show. I'm your host, Bobby Brown. And you know me, like, share, hit the notification bell. Oftentimes they will unsubscribe you because we were well on our way to 11,000. We dropped down to 10,300. And there's a reason for that. And I know it ain't on me. I know it ain't that bad. Come on now. I know it ain't that bad. I love this, and this is what I do, and I try to be as good as I can be and let God determine whether he's going to make me the best or not. And I know some of you people out there don't believe in God, but I do. So I'm not going to mess with you. You don't mess with me on that. But here we go. Today, I'm going to talk about a brand new bill that recently came out from the Black Lives Matters organization. Now, one of the things I try to let people know ahead of time, please don't get this twisted. The Black Lives Matter organization, BLM organization, and the Black Lives mantra is not the same. The Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matters organization is not the same. Yet, the Black Lives movement, the organization is trying to take over. The organization is trying to co-opt, and they're getting massive political help to make that happen. Massive political help to take away a movement that was really generated for the sole purpose of filling in some missing links or filling in some gaps that we as black people who've been here from the foundation, from the jump, should have had filled a long time ago. We're in a moment right now we can get those things filled, and here we are. We got an organization that's using BLM to get everything else done but Black Lives issue. Now, when I say Black Lives, I mean foundational black, what people call ADOS, people who've been here since day one. These are the people who I talk about, where I tell them every day that you are not a second-class citizen. You are not a minority. You are a majority. It may not look like that in numbers, but you are. This country was built on your back, off your sweat, your forefathers' sweat and tears. Up to this day is being built off your sweat and tears. Our people got brutalized and murdered and ostracized, raped and pillaged and separated, and I can go on and on and on. You know the story, you know the history. Yet, after all that is said and done, we helped build this country into the American dream. And I often say the American dream was built off of the American nightmare of black people, native black people. Now, let me calm down. This is supposed to be those people time, my people time. As soon as we start to get some makeup on it, some headway on it, we got people like BLM come in and take over, and they're crafty and they're smart. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean by crafty and smart. And look, we're going to have to be just as crafty and as smart too, because I refuse to let BLM take the spotlight or take the lead in this. And anybody that's black that they came from a lineage of where you had slaves for your ancestors, your forefathers were slaves, came here through chattel slavery. I don't even care, even if it was a dark-skinned Native American Indian. That's a whole nother subject we're going to get on another day. But if a dark-skinned Native American Indian who got thrown into slavery because they looked black, and a lot of them did, got thrown into the slave trade because you look black. And some of them were sold out by their own Native American heritage, or other Native tribes sold them out because they wasn't part of our tribe. And see, this is the problem. And they have gone to co-opt this whole entire movement. And we're going to have to take it back. You think this is a referendum against Trump? No, this is a referendum to get black people to the position that they need to be. And I don't care who helped us do that. Honestly speaking, I don't think Trump and the last thing Trump will ever do is do that. It got to be a miracle of God. And I believe a miracle of God can happen. If it happened to the Apostle Paul, it can happen to Trump. To turn around and fix the rights that were made wrong with the Native American black people, with what we call American descendants of slaves. Anybody, any political leader can turn around and say, I'm going to give you your full reparations. We don't have to study. We studied this, man. We didn't have to study to come out with the tens of trillions of dollars to help level this economy during this COVID crisis. So why are we going to treat COVID better than you? Why are we making COVID a priority over you? Black people are going to always be here, but COVID is not going to always be here. It may always be over here, but we can manage. Black people are not going to allow you to be, we're not going to be managed. We're not. We're just not. Now, let me slow down. Co-opting. Let's take a look at this. All right, so this is Mark Lamont Hill, professor at university in Philly. I forgot the name of the university. God, I can't believe I can't. But anyway, it ain't about him anyway. Here's the Black Lives Matter website. Now, this website, this whole entire platform came about with corporate funding from major white corporations that oftentimes oppress black people, oppress people in general. Black Lives Matter don't mind taking that money. I get it. I understand. I will take your money, but I'll let it be known. This money you giving me ain't going to give you no way in. And they're good about media. Look what they're doing right now. Rest in power, beautiful. Watch our next videos. They got the episode of their own shows and stuff like that, politics and effects of COVID in 2020 with Donna Brazile, of all people. Donna Brazile, who admitted the Democratic Party cheated an election, and now they don't want to have nothing to do with her. Now she's working at Fox News. Donna Brazile is not in a position. She's not doing anything. Matter of fact, she's on the other side of righting the wrong for black people. She'll talk a good game, but because she's a party person, she's going to go along with party dialogue versus people in the street dialogue. What defunding the police really means. So they go into what defunding of police. So we're going to get a lot into this, but the most important thing I want you to see is they have not only the backing of the political elite. I don't care if it's progressive or corporate. They got the backing of the political elite. A real black movement refuses the backing of the political. We learned our lesson in the civil rights movement. One of the reasons why Dr. King turned around and said, look, we allowed that stuff to happen. I mean, we allowed politics to get involved with our movement. And yes, we did get civil rights legislation, but I believe I actually led people into a burning fire. Well, what I got to do now is I got to go for the gusto and go for the things that really will make them equal in the sight of Americanism, if that's a word. And then he mentioned, not only are we going to march in Washington again, and you can call it the Poor People's Campaign all you want, but the whole point is we coming to get our check. And when he said we coming to get our check, he wasn't talking about poor white people. He wasn't talking about, he was talking about black people. Now, poor white people can benefit on the other things that will come behind that, which he had a major plan to not only close the wealth gap between blacks and whites, but he also had things he could piggyback on that to help all people. And that's what black movements do. True black movements say, hey, let's take care of this first. Let's take care of fix the wrongs and make them right by any means necessary. Let's do that, and then we're going to take care of this and take care of this. But we got to stay focused. We got to stay focused on one issue, one tactic. And one of the reasons why we haven't accomplished our goals in those areas is because we scattered every which way. Oh, we're trying to placate to the LGBTQ community. Oh, we're trying to placate to DACA legislation. Oh, we're trying to fight for women's rights and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying those things are not worth fighting for, but you got to be focused. You can't fight for everything. You as one person can't fight 10 people. I don't care if you got all Bruce Lee skills. That was a movie. Focus on one person. If you can knock that one person out, especially if he's the chief fighter, the biggest fighter they got, if you can knock that fool out, everybody else will fall down. Shades of Bad Boys. Bad Boys the movie, not Bad Boys the movie with Will Smith. I'm talking about Bad Boys with the old prison movie. You go into prison, you beat down the biggest guy in the prison, man. People gonna bow down to you. So you got to stay focused. You got to knock down the biggest obstacle in the way and make that fall down to you. Then we can take care of these other needs. And what right now, black people in general, specifically the native blacks who came here through chattel slavery, we got a big thing we got to knock out. And number one, that's white supremacy. Number two, it's the foundation that white supremacy built in the United States. And one of the biggest that they have right now, which is one of their number one, the one that they hold on to most, that they'll rather kill you over, is the money. The money, the wealth gap. They refuse to give black people 100% equality. 100% equality, and we're deserving of 100% equality because we helped build this country right alongside with them. Matter of fact, a lot of the things that they benefit off of, they took from us. They stole from us. From a recipe for fried chicken to you name it. They stole it. The cotton gin and all that kind of stuff was stolen. And they made big money off of it. But, I mean, recently the Aunt Jemima situation. I can go on and on and on and on. Now, let me get back to this. The Breathe Act. The Breathe Act. Let's read this article. This is from Revolt. Revolt, is supposed to be Puff Daddy's organization, his media organization, but it really another black organization that has been co-opted by everybody but black. Now, understand something. Let me bring my face up here because I really want to look at you for a second. I want you to understand something about me. Understand something about me. I am far from prejudice. I love all people. But I got a special love for my people because it's my community. That's why I don't get mad when people holler white power. You can holler white power. I holler black power. We holler black power in the 60s. You holler white power. But long as you don't think your white power supersedes black power, you should take pride in your race and your ethnicity. You should take pride in that. The Asians take pride in their race. Africans take pride in their race. You should be proud of your race. But as a friend of mine said recently, we can't. Nationality and race is two different things. Okay, because Korean is a nationality. It's not a race. Jamaican is a nationality. It's not a race. Being American is a nationality. It's not a race. So let's stay focused on race. Black, Asians, Caucasian, things like that. Too many times when black people start something, they allow money and power to come in and co-opt it. They allow money and power to come in and co-opt the thing, instead of working hard to keep it black at the beginning. One of the reasons black organizations don't go as far as they can is because they allow it to be infiltrated by other groups who might have other agenda. And that's what Dr. King figured out during the first civil rights movement. He admitted to that on that NBC special. You can go look it up on YouTube. That, hey, it is what it is. We got whatever we could done with Johnson, and it is what it is. I mean, but got a sour taste in my mouth, man. My people still struggling. We got civil rights, but they're not getting to that area where they need to get to. And one of the reasons why we get involved with trade unions and things like that, because we're trying to get everything even, and the trade union is supposed to be doing that. Now, back to this. I'm not prejudiced. I got to call a spade, a queen of hearts, a queen of hearts. I'm not calling a spade a queen of hearts. Now, here's the spade that I got to call a spade. Black people, you are not a minority. You're a majority. You are not in the same bunch. I know you don't want to hear me. And same thing with faith-based. You're not in the same bunch as any other person. And I'm talking specifically about ADOS, American descendants of slaves, those whose parents, forefathers came here through chattel slavery, came here through the mid-Atlantic slave trade. Even for those whose parents were Native Americans who end up being thrown into the slave trade as a black person. The point is, you built this country through slavery. If you were one of the founding people that helped build this country with the so-called founding fathers to help build this country through the back of slavery, you own this country. This country is just as much as yours as anybody else. You should be owning just as much. And the reason you don't own just as much is because of foolishness like supremacy, systemic racism, and all that kind of stuff, stopping you, keeping you in the bucket. See, there's certain people in society, they don't see themselves as crabs in the bucket. They see themselves as lobsters. And let me tell you something, lobster can get out of a thing real quick because their hands are, and they're very defensive. You cannot allow anybody to lump you in with this minority status and all people status. And see, Joe Biden, when he came up with the Lift Every Voice plan, that plan was screaming black on the outside, but when you looked into the plan, it was screaming minorities. And when you mean minorities, you mean gays. The LGBT community is considered a minority now. Asians, Somalians who just came here 2 years ago, they want what you've been fighting hard for. They think that should be thrown in with the equal status. It cannot be thrown in equal status. Nothing against you. Love you. I love you. But this ain't your deal. I mean, you could join the fight, but we can't lead you. Don't let people get in the front of this fight that's going down that direction of all people and equality for all Americans. This ain't got nothing to do with... Black people need to get to the position first of equal status with whites in every area. Why? Because majority of the blacks that's in this country whose parents descended from slavery deserve that right. It is their birthright. It is their mandate. White America was not here and discovered this place when there was a bunch of Native Americans waving at them as they come in. How are you going to discover something and people waving at you from the seashore? And you landed on planet Rock and was greeted by Native American. How are you going to discover this? Now, this is treading on like water, and it's kind of tough. And I got to stick with this. And I'm trying to keep this to an hour. I'm 32 minutes in. Black people, you cannot. Black people, when I say black people, I'm not talking about those who came in post-immigration. I'm not even talking about those who came in at the turn of the century. I'm talking about those who lineage go all the way back to the 1400s, to the 1600s, all the way back then. If your lineage date from, I don't care if they did jump out the boat and swim all the way here and somebody put shackles on them the moment they got to the seashore. If you were here if your legacy was here during that time and your legacy participated in the building of this country, it is your birthright to have just as much wealth as anybody else. Now, the problem is you don't. The problem is they use you for free labor and made millions, which in turn today will be trillions, off the back of your forefathers. And when it comes time for you to ask for reparation, they want to hee-haw. But when it comes to Asians, when it comes to the Jewish, it doesn't matter. Oh, they bend the knee. Oh, you got Joe Biden said, not only do we deserve reparations for blacks, but put Native American in there. I had a conversation with Ocasio-Cortez when she was here in the Bronx, and I got in her face about this, and she said, oh, reparations need to be the money for the reparation. You don't tell us what the money should do. You don't. That's another problem. Stop letting people tell you what reparation is. You determine what reparation is because it's your show. You're not going to tell me what you owe. You know what you owe me, and it's time for you to pay up. You don't tell me how you're going to pay. You don't have the right to tell me how you're going to pay. I tell you how you're going to pay. If I say cash payment, cash payment. You gave them cash payment. Stop heeing and hawing about cash payment. Now, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this because this is the right thing to do. And you can't let things like this co-opt. Now, I'm supposed to be talking about this act. Let's get back to it. We see eye to eye. I love all people. But when it comes to this movement, the first thing that needs to be gotten out of this movement is 100% equality for the black people who've been here since, who lineage been here since day one. First and foremost, nothing else should be done until that is completed. And that includes reparation, because that's the only way you're going to close the wealth gap. Loans will not close the wealth gap. Funding for schools will not close the wealth gap. You can educate, you can do all that. It's still not going to close the wealth gap. Give us our money, cut the check. Cut the doggone check. Let black people determine what they do with the money that you owe their families. You let them determine where to invest. You don't determine that. If you're not determining what people do with the extra $600 of unemployment, you don't do that. You didn't determine what people do with the $1,200 stimulus that you gave them. You didn't tell You try to tell corporate America, you act like you told corporate America what to do with the money that you gave them, which was way more than what you gave us. But you ain't, you ain't doing no studies, and you ain't telling them what they should do with the money that you give them. You give them the money and they do whatever they need to do. So why you think you're going to do that with us? Now let me get into this because I'm going too long. I just want you to know that I love everybody, but if you come into this country turn of the century or post-immigration act or whatever, or pre-immigration act, understand that the first fight, you have to join into the first fight in order to get your stuff taken care of if you are worthy to get certain things from the federal government. If we see that it's worthy for you, Native or Black Americans or American descendants of slaves will fight alongside with you for that. We always fight for people right. The thing is, you got to have a right for it. Right now, you don't have a right to reparation if you came here, not this level of reparation. There's phases of reparations. First phase, strictly the American descendants of slaves. Second phase, strictly an American descendants of slaves and those who came in here post-Immigration Act, in some cases pre-Immigration Act. Because a lot of people did come to this country and had to suffer through hard on, especially people who came from Jamaica, Haiti, you name it. Now let's get into this. Get back to this frame. All right. So on Tuesday, Michigan Representative Rashid Tlaib, not American descendants of slaves, but she's in Washington, D.C., so I guess we got to count on somebody to pass a bill, right? And Massachusetts Representative Ayanna Pressley, American descendant of slave, black as can be. They introduced the Breathe Act, presented in partnership, listen to this, presented in partnership by Movement for Black Lives. Now, how come when ADOS tried to come up with something, political hacks, even progressives, don't want to have nothing to do with it? They try to push it off. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, all of them back off the reparations situation, but they'll partner with the Movement of Black Lives. Oh, you know why? Because a lot of them got their hands into it. And that, to me personally, I think they will use Black Lives Matter as a tool to take away real deal from the grassroots, hard to the core black movements. Find an easy way to co-opt it. The announcement arrived during a virtual press conference hosted by Mark Lamont Hill. Now, Mark Lamont Hill got fired from one of the major television networks because he took up for Israel. But Mark, I understand that. I agree with you with the Israel situation. Israel treating the Palestinians like crap, trying to make them seem like they're the most evil thing in the world, and they're not. Oftentimes, the country of Israel do heinous attack on them, which featured Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors, Representative Tlaib, and the mother of Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, and more. Now, I've actually had conversation with Eric Gardner's mother a couple of times. She probably don't remember me now, but I've actually sat with her in a couple of eating events, and nice, sweet lady. Don't get me wrong. Nice, sweet lady. But, the Democrats are trying to get their hand into this and make this a democratic situation. True movements that's going forward to this day, true movements cannot be, you cannot allow political hands to get into it. And if you do allow political hands to it, they got to go far to the back. And they got to be willing to be told what to do instead of them coming in trying to tell us what to do, a la Hillary Clinton. When the last time Mark Lamont Hill was talking Black Lives Matter, Hillary Clinton was telling him what they need to do instead of allowing them to tell her what she need to do. That's why I button and make it. Stop letting these political leaders come in and take over and tell you what you should do. No, you tell them what to do. Can you imagine somebody coming in and telling Malcolm X what to do from a political perspective? Are you kidding me? All right, and of course, a short performance with John Legend. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So you had John Legend. He performed at the beginning of this video, and then you had Eric Garner and Michael Brown mother introduce why this bill need to be pushed. And then you had a couple leaders from the Black Lives Movement. And here's one leader from the Black Lives Movement. She's going to go over this. Now, here you can download this from breatheact.org. I would suggest that you do and go through it. Here's the bullet points. Section 1, divesting federal resources from incarcerating and policing and ending criminal legal system harms. Second one is investing in new approaches to community safety, utilizing funding incentives. Got no problem with that. Allocating money to build healthy, sustainable, equitable communities. Here it is, for all people. Robert, what is wrong with that? You're getting off focus again. You need to go strictly for black people, then piggyback for all people once this thing is done. Holding officials accountable and enhancing self-determination of black communities. How are you going to legislate holding people accountable? Let me get this. Now, here's the detail, but I'm going to let her go through this first, and then we'll go through this. Now, I'm trying my best to not to keep this so long. But let's listen to this. This is from AP. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I want you to see there's something major that you need to see this. Now, I read a scripture in the Bible when it comes to, it's called the faith scripture. Mark 11:23-24. It say, it's about praying. It say about moving a mountain. And it's about saying, if you say unto this mountain, be ye cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in their heart, but believe that those things that you say shall come to pass, you shall have whatever you say. So that shows the main focus on this is about saying. Now here in every one of these blocks of this policy, you hear people of color, people of color, people of color. Now, like I said, people of color do go through some things, but there's some things that people of color don't go through that most black people go through. I'll repeat and I'll say that again. There's a lot of things that people of color don't go through what black people. That's why black people, especially people that was born into this country and had got a lineage all the way back to the beginning of this country, don't lump me in with people of color. If you're going to lump black people in with people of color, you might as well lump white people in too, because white people of color white is a color too. Don't lump us in with people of color. We had people call us colored people. That was an insult to some people. Why you just can't, And then they went to African American. It went from black, first it went from the N-word to black to colored people. You colored people over there. Let me tell you something. All you colored people over there on the other side of town, don't call me colored. You colored. That is a phrase used to lump black people in with everybody else. And our situations in America is not the same as everybody else. We got a lot of people coming to this country looking for the American dream, and they get the whole carpet laid out in front of them. But yet, let a black person from Tupelo, Mississippi, whose grandfather was a sharecropper, and his grandfather was a sharecropper, whose grandfather was a slave, let them try to get something. And they can go to school and get all the education they want. Let them try to get something done. They're still going to have to deal with institutional racism. So you cannot lump black people in the social status of colored people. We allow people to do that, but we got to stop allowing that. Stop allowing people to put you in a that you're colored. All right, if I'm colored, white people are colored because white is a color. Number two, I'm not a minority. My family and my lineage built this country harder than white people, so we got equal rights to this country. So when it comes to this country, we are not a minority. We're equal. And I don't care how much they try to tell me I'm not equal, and I don't care if I'm not equal in all areas. I should be, and there's something in the way stopping me from becoming equal, and oftentimes it's not you. It's the system. And we just happen to be in the system. And this kind of mess is not going to change the system for black people. It'll change the system for all people. And it'll put all people in the position of equal status. Let me tell you something. They're not going to allow all people to be in the equal status of white people. They'll placate toward that. They'll make you think they're going to do that, all to get you on the side so they can continue their legislative agenda. They keep you voting for them. They keep you putting them in the office. And when they get in the office, they ain't going to do nothing for you but acerbate the situation longer and longer and longer. And eventually we're not going to stand for this as black people. We're tired of this. That's why we are not, you shouldn't let these BLM people lump you in with this all. And when they talking about all people, guess who people of color, guess who's in that too? The Rainbow Coalition. And when I say the Rainbow Coalition, I'm not talking about Jesse Jackson. LGBTQ community is considered people of color now. You want to know who's considered people of color now? White women. Now, you trying to tell me black people came to this country, oftentimes lost their wife, lost their kids, had their babies being fed to alligators. I can go on and on of the atrocities that happen to black people. And people say, why don't you just let it go? Why don't you let it slide? Hey, we could let it go. Look, we've let it go to a certain level. But the fact of the matter is, as we let things go, you keep going up and we keep going lower. And I believe the letting it go is allowing that to happen. And we need to stop letting that go. Sure, we can forgive you for slavery. But the foundations built on top of that slavery, you got to make that right. It's not a matter of forgiving and unforgiving. It's not a matter of letting things go. It's just a matter of making things right. You made all these trillions, billions and trillions of dollars off the backs of black people, and you don't want to share? You want to tell them to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, and they ain't got no boots and no straps. Well, we're giving you equal rights and jobs and stuff like that, bro. You got no. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let me keep going. All right, for the sake of time, because I ain't got that much time, go to abc7.com and watch the whole entire video, okay? I may link it in under this video somewhere. Now, let's get into this. All right, so Dr. Lamont Hill of, I think it's Tulane University or somewhere. I still don't know the university. My ex-girlfriend used to go to that college, man. She talk about it all the time. It's in Philly. But anyway, he's going to introduce the young lady who's going to go over this plan.
Insights. Next up, we'll hear from Gina Clayton Johnson. She's an attorney, she's an organizer, and she's the leader of the Movement for Black Lives Policy Table. She's also the founder and executive director of the SE Justice Group. Gina.
Thank you, Mark. Today, our network has helped create a people-powered bill.
Now, before we go into this, understand, get to know these people and get to know where they come from, get to know what's their organization, and get to know what their organization believe in, what their organization's fighting for. Because oftentimes we get Jewish people that's leading these organizations, we get his Latino people leading this organization and all that, and that's all finding me. If it's a Black Lives Matter organization, Black Lives should be leading it. Do we need other people to be a part of it? Yes, it builds us up and it kind of secures us a little bit more too. We need people on the side. But my whole thing is, and a lot of other people believe this too, if you are from Nigeria, if you're from Asia, if you're from wherever you're from, whatever your coalition is, your people is, you should work that agenda through your community. You should garner support for your community to help us push that agenda. You should not be leading the Black Lives. Ever wonder why, and there was a few Asian that was involved with the Black Panthers. I mean, they believed in Black Panthers. A lot of them got involved with the Black Panthers movement internationally, but they wasn't leading it. Ain't no way you was going to lead a Black Lives Matter. You could participate, but you ain't going to lead it. And that's what I'm saying in this, and when it comes to BLM, everybody is leading this thing. Everybody but 100% Black leading this thing. Well, that's not fair. If it's called Black Lives Matter, it should be moving. This ain't NAACP. And even then, one of the things that weakened the NAACP is they forgot the vision of the black man first, and then they went over to this all people's vision, and it got watered down. And I'm not saying eventually we shouldn't go to all people. I'm just saying stay focused. Once you got one agenda, knock that agenda out the way and go to the next agenda. And that's what Black Lives Matter is not doing. Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the movement. The movement should strictly be pushing Black issues on the forefront. And yeah, some of the Black issues do overlap into all communities, but they need to keep it Black first, B1, and then build off that B1. Once you accomplish the B1 goal, then we'll go over to these other areas as a unit.
That reflects the mandates we hear echoed loudly across this nation. The Movement for Black Lives has a dedicated base of 150 organizations made up of Black activists and organizers, policy experts, and people directly impacted by the most violent forms of anti-Black violence and racism.
Now, here's one thing they don't tell you about. Let me see if I can find it. Money. It may be led by Black activists, but look at where this money coming from. Oh, man, they getting bank. They getting a lot of money. First of all, they're supposed to be 501(c), right? All right. There's the BLM Global Network Foundation. Combined $90,130 in grants to Santa Clara-based Black Lives Matter Foundation. Thousands current disclosed 3,354,654 in donor restricted assets for Black Lives Matter. That number was 2 million in 2018. Money from Nova Foundation, 1.5 million from 2015 to 2018. Kellogg Foundation, $900,000 from 20. Borellis Philanthropic, $343. Recently announced, BLM Global Network Foundation recently announced a $6.5 million grassroots organizing funds thanks to a generosity and support of donors. The key is, who are those donors? This is what you call co-oping. Money will make you shut stuff down. Money will make you shut stuff down. And these people at Black Lives Matter happily will take this money. It could come from Bill Gates. It can come from anybody. Michael Jordan released a statement saying Black Lives Matter and is committing $100 million over 10 years to organize and dedicate to ensuring racial equality, social justice, just like the NFL. Roger Goodell said he's going to invest $250 million over a 10-year period, $25 million, half, double Michael Jordan's $100 million. This was sometime reported $100 million. I can go on and on about the money that is going to this organization. But the money ain't going to the true grassroots of black movement, real black movements that's saying, let's get the first agenda out the way, black first, reparations, black agenda, schooling, housing, you name it. They're not giving money to those movements. Why? Because those movements is going to go in and mess with their money, because now they're calling for equality in wealth. Black Lives Matter is not calling for equality in wealth, which is the major thing that you should be calling for equality on. Sure, you call for equal rights for jobs. Sure, you call for equal rights when it comes to police brutality and criminalizing police departments and things like that for the crimes that they commit. Sure, you're asking for that. But the only thing that's really going to start changing the game is equality in wealth. That's why ADOS and other American descendants of slaves and other foundational black American organizations are making a call for reparations above anything and saying cut the check. Also, we're asking for these other things. But right now, reparation. Again, one reason why they're hollering reparation, I'm hollering reparation, because one of the most powerful tools of the oppressor is that money, that big money. That's one of the most powerful tools of the oppressor. And I just had a thought for a second, okay? And they don't want to give that up. That's the last stone that holds up the house that white supremacy built. Money. You can't get an agenda moved without money. So that's why these organizations co-opt organizations like Black Lives Matters and give all these donations. And a lot of it is going to Act Blue. And I got another problem with Act Blue. I know you're saying, Robert, get to the, man, you're doing all that talking, get to the plan. Okay, here we go.
Our collective vision for public safety is simple. It's one that invests in people and dismantles the systems that are killing us. To be clear, our vision has not been articulated in federal legislation ever before. For the last 6 years, we've been developing policy, organizing our people across the country. This bill, each of the 4 sections, represents the lessons learned, what families have called for, what has worked, and the courageous demands of our people that have yet to be realized on a federal level. So what does the Movement for Black Lives federal bill propose? The BREATHE Act is divided into 4 sections. Section 1 ends criminal legal system harms by divesting federal resources from incarceration and policing. This is the section that addresses what we as a movement mean when we say defund. Broadly, it removes the federal dollars that have contributed to the militarization, surveillance, incarceration, and impoverishment of Black communities. The next section, Section 2, invests in new approaches to community safety by utilizing state incentives. When we say defund, we mean remove resources away from the harmful criminal legal system and invest in what actually keeps us safe. Section 2 encourages states through incentives to make public safety investments that do not rely on harmful policing and incarceration. If Section 2 was about making sure we are safe and are allowed to survive, Section 3 is all about us thriving. Section 3 allocates new money to build healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities for all people.
Bam, there we go. Bam, here we go. This is a Black Lives Matter bill called the BREATHE Act, and you're talking about taking the money from the police department and all that and building all communities. Girl, There are communities that don't need those dollars to build. The Asian community is building their own. The Italian community is building their own. Why? Because an Italian can go in there as a white person and have no problem getting a loan, no problem getting a grant, but the black man got to do a two-step and the running man and spin on his head and everything just to break the barriers of getting a home loan or break the barriers of investing in a football team. And you're going to sit here and say, we want to take that money and put it into... Let me shut up. See what I mean, people? See what I mean? Stop using the name black to get things that you want for everybody else. That's what I'm saying. Joe Biden did it with the Lift Every Voice Act. Trump ain't going to ever do it because he ain't on that. Black, black, ew. Look at my African-American over there. Black people, you got to stop letting these people do this. It's an insult. It's an insult to who you are. You are the queens and kings of this country. And they want to use your name and your color and your pain to get things done for everybody else. Let her keep going.
In this section, we create several new grant programs for education, environment, families, economic justice, and more. These grant programs encourage and enable states to legislate funding equality between schools, address houselessness, ensure public access to safe, clean water for drinking, and expand Medicaid without work requirements, and establish job programs that target the most economically disadvantaged. And finally, section...
Jobs program that target the economically disadvantaged. Anybody qualifies for that. Anybody. I got a dog that might be, my dog, equal, he's disadvantaged and economically disadvantaged. Can he get something too? Man, let me shut up.
Holds officials accountable and enhances self-determination of Black communities.
All right, let me go back.
These grant programs encourage... Section 3 allocates new money to build healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities for all people.
Oh, man, that burns me up every time I hear that. Oh. We're trying to get reparations. You're trying to tell people to take the money and give it to people of all communities. We're hollering, cut the check. Reparations are owed. Reparations are due. It's not a matter of pulling up bootstraps. It's not a matter of we begging. We're demanding what you owe us. Yet everybody else come to this country and get a brand new slate and get access to everything in the world, and that end up smothering us and burying us. And you talking about take the money and give it to all communities. Girl, you don't sit your behind down. Look, you ain't going to play this game, and I'm not going to let nobody play this game. I don't mind other people getting the things that they deserve as brand new Americans, because most of them are coming here straight from another country. It's not like people who were born and raised here. Now, that's a different story. People were born and raised here, but even when it comes to them, you on phase 2, baby. You're on phase 4, tell you the truth. You're not on phase 1 and 2 of what really need to be done to make this a truly equal America. We got 2 things to knock out the way. The American descendants of slaves and Black people who had to deal with the hell and high water that took place during Jim Crow and pre-Jim Crow. Then we'll start working on Immigration Act and people who came in after the Immigration Act.
In this section, we create several new grant programs for education, environment, families, economic justice, and more. These grant programs encourage and enable states to legislate funding equality between schools, address houselessness, ensure public access to safe, clean water for drinking, and expand Medicaid without work requirements, and establish job programs that target the most economically disadvantaged.
Well, what's the problem you have with that, Rob? What's going on there? What is the problem you have with that? I got a big problem with that. What's the problem you have with that? All right, excuse me, I'm echoing over here. You're not talking about reparations. That is first and foremost, when it should be first and foremost to the mind of black people. You give us our reparation, we can do our own. We can build our own school. Most of your schools not teaching true history anyway. So why we want to keep allowing money to go to the funding of schools that's going to lie to our kids most of the time instead of giving them the full truth? Are you passing laws to mandate schools teach all of the truth about American history? Let me calm down.
And finally, Section 4 holds officials accountable and enhances self-determination of Black communities. Included in Section 4 is historical reparations, in the way that H.R. 40 has long imagined possible. It provides accountability at the ballot box through public financing of federal elections, restores the right to vote to incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people, and provides funds and services to the families and victims of policing and racist criminal legal system violence. And those are just the highlights. We crafted this.
All right, hold up. What they got to do with reparation? Now, she just mentioned reparation. Then she tried to define what reparation is for I guess for black people. I don't know. She wasn't specific. She could be talking about reparations for everybody. Let's see. She didn't mention, she wasn't specific about reparations for who, but she was specific about how. Let's go back over that again.
And provides funds and services to the families and victims of policing and establish job programs that target the most economically disadvantaged. And finally, Section 4 holds officials accountable and enhances self-determination of.
Section 4 holds officials accountable. Which officials are you talking about and accountable for what? And what are the laws that you're asking? What is the demand? What is the crime? What is the law? What are you demanding to be for us to use against these officials that will hold them accountable?
Black communities. Included in Section 4 is historical reparations.
Historical reparations. What is historical reparations? Let me hear what you got to say about historical reparations. Here she is trying to define the reparations. It's, to me, again, using this organization, still what reparations mean to black people. Here she is, probably half white, probably half black, probably black and Latino, probably not even black at all. I don't know this chick. I don't know. I know some of you get mad at me because I called her a chick. I don't know this chick. Whatever. I don't know who she is. I'm going to find out. Gina Johnson sound black to me. But I don't know who she is. Here she is, the policy expert or the policy maker for Black Lives Matter, trying to define reparations.
In the way that H.R. 40 has long imagined possible.
In the way that H.R. 40 long imagined possible. So I guess she's demanding H.R. 40 to come to pass. Again, let legislators determine what reparation is instead of black people determine what you owe us.
It provides accountability at the ballot box.
Accountability at the ballot box. What the hell excuse me. What they got to do with reparations? Accountability at the ballot box. You want accountability at the ballot box? How about they demand that they go back to paper ballots? And how about you demand that they do ranked choice voting? You want accountability. You want election integrity. You want to deal with the issues of gerrymandering and all that. How about tell them to go to paper ballots? How about tell them to start doing ballot initiatives where the people get to vote on things instead of punk behind politicians? And how about you do ranked choice voting?
Through public financing of federal elections, restores the right to vote to incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people.
Now, I don't know about you, but it's how many states that don't allow prisoners to vote? You know why they want prisoners to vote? And I'm all for it. It's because they know most of these prisoners are going to vote blue. I'm all for it, but they know what they're doing.
And provides funds and services to the families and victims of policing and racist criminal legal system violence.
So reparations, including giving money to people who were victims of police brutality and this and that and la-di-da and la-di-da-di-dee. Ain't got nothing to do with cutting the checks for the pain that you put us through for over 400 years.
And those are just the highlights.
Okay.
We crafted this bill to be big because we know the solution.
She said those are highlights. Sisters, those are the highlights of the bill. Then you got a punk behind bill. You got a bill that's weaker than Kool-Aid with no sugar. It's bitter. That's all you got? Now, guys, you get a chance, you can download the bill and go over it, but come on, sister. Come on. You act all excited about this Breathe Act, and it is not giving nothing. It's not black exclusive, and not black first. If anything, it's a bill for everybody, but you want to pimp off black name, the name black. I'm almost done.
Needs to be as big as the 400-year-old problem itself. We are here to celebrate.
As big as the 400-year problem itself.
The actionable promise that the Breathe Act offers us as Black people. Available today is our bill summary, which you can download at www.breatheact.org. Please sign up to learn more and be among the first to receive bill text as we make it available.
And he over there smiling like she really did something or said something. I'm over here smiling like I'm like Denzel Washington on Training Day. That's about the dumbest bill I ever. I don't know which one dumber, that or the Lift Every Voice bill. I'm tired of these politicians. I'm tired of these so-called activists talking about they got a plan to move a black agenda, and it do not come from the community. We're tired of organizations and politicians trying to tell us what we should do. We're tired of them trying to co-op, and we're tired of them trying to tell us what you owe us. You don't tell us that. We tell you that. And he's smiling with that silly grin, man. I'm starting to lose all my respect for Mark Lamont Hill.
Thank you so much, Gina, for outlining the vision of the Breathe Act and its role in answering the call that we've been talking about today. It's my pleasure to introduce to you someone now who really doesn't even need an introduction. This LA native is the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Global Network. She's also the founder of the grassroots Los Angeles organization, Dignity and Power Now. She's an artist, she's an organizer, she's an educator. She's a best-selling author, and she's been on the front lines of criminal justice.
Now, we're going to hear what she got to say, and then we're done. Then we're going to close. You guys, you get access to this. This is on the Black Lives Matters website. Watch these videos. Go over the detail of the plan. We're going to hear what she got to say. Then I got a couple more things to say, and we're going to close. Going to take this up from here, man, because let me do what I need to do.
Justice reform and transformation for more than 2 decades. Please, now coming up is my dear friend and comrade and colleague, Patrisse Cullors.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you to all of the panelists who have spoken. I am really grateful to be here today. I'm feeling moved by this moment and this experience, and I know that we are winning, as Kayla said earlier. I came to this work as a child of the...
Now, when she mentions she knows that she's winning, it ain't winning the issue, because they ain't winning that issue. They're winning at taking this thing from the people who are trying to push a black exclusively agenda. That's where she figured, I know we're winning. I know we've taken over the conversation. And I'm like Professor Black Truth. I'm like Jason Black and anybody that's staying in this position that, no, you are not going to win this situation. No way. Ain't no way in heaven or hell are we going to let y'all make this piece of crap the policy to go forward when it comes to this. And now, Professor Black Truth, I mean, not Professor Black Truth, but Jason Black came up with the policy. He came up with what we need to do to move us forward. And here y'all doing anything but. But let's listen to what she got to say, and then I'll close.
The 80s and 90s, I witnessed the disturbing impacts of of the war on drugs and the war on gangs in real time. It meant consistent raids by the Los Angeles Police Department.
Now, she keeps talking about they making this issue 100% about police brutality, and we got bigger fish to fry than police brutality. Now, the fish we fry does have a couple of side meals with it. You know, we got some corn and some, you know, we got that and some, you know, we got some starch to go with that, and that's the police department. But that's not the main point of the meal. We got fish to fry. And the fish to fry is reparations and a true black agenda, not this BS.
It meant my siblings and father being hauled off in police cars and sent to overcrowded, rat-infested county jails. It meant over-sentencing and mass incarceration. I was 5 years old when the Los Angeles Police Department raided my home for the first time. They pillaged our home, and I remember thinking, why is this happening? In 1999, my best friend and older brother was viciously beaten by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. He was beaten because he suffers from schizoaffective disorder. Not only was he beaten, but he was tortured for days on end, starved and forced to drink out of toilet bowl water. He, like so many other poor, Black, and disabled people, have been dehumanized and traumatized by law enforcement. Today, we call for an ending of police torture and terror. We call for that ending through the Breathe Act. In 2013, Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, and I started Black Lives Matter. Our intention was to create space for Black people to challenge the ways our communities were impacted by state violence. Trayvon Martin, Cece McDonald, Renisha McBride, and so many other Black loved ones were stolen from us.
So she's saying right now the whole purpose of Black Lives Matter and the whole bottom line of Black Lives Matter is to deal with police brutality. But I guess she's going to venture off and deal with other issues besides that.
We wanted our voices heard. But more importantly, we wanted Black people to have the power to determine our own destinies. Right now, the streets are swelling with demands for a new future and
I'm sorry I keep stopping, but how are you going to empower Black people to control their own destiny when you invite everybody in it to so-called help them control their own destiny? You cannot control your own destiny when you got all these people coming in trying to so-called help you control your own destiny. Just saying.
A new policy mandate. The movement for Black Lives has responded with a vision that reflects these demands on a federal level. Our movement is strong, and we're inviting our nation's leaders to join us in making this vision a reality. We are not only in service of the people who have lost their lives to police violence, like Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Ezell Ford, Ryan Twyman, and Riddell Jones. We are directly accountable to their families. We have to be able to go back to them when we leave this press conference and say that we honored their loved one's sacrifice. We're asking our leaders to do the same. At the core of the Breathe Act is what's become clear to many of us. Policing as we know it needs to be drastically less powerful. I urge our leaders to be bold and courageous in this moment. For over 4 decades, the federal government has poured billions of dollars into police departments. Federal dollars have incentivized arrest, jail and prison construction, and the militarization of constantly growing police forces. And the truth is, all these resources spent have not made us safer. We cannot innovate new approaches to safety and accountability. We can innovate new approaches to safety and accountability that better serve the needs of the people without creating massive gaps in our crisis response, without traumatizing and decimating communities. The Breathe Act gets us closer to justice. Our movement has captured the imagination of millions of people in every single state across America. We are looking for bold leaders to join us, to join the people's call to action. Who will answer the people's call? Who among our leaders is ready to respond to the mandate of our ancestors and communities? Who among our leaders will champion a 21st century Civil Rights Act? Who will answer the Black movement and champion the Breathe Act? Thank you.
Well, obviously you are not answering, and you running the organization because you're doing everything but answering the true challenges of Black people. And the number one challenge of black people is economic equality with white people. All right, so there you go. Download it, go over it. We just got the highlights. I've been over the whole thing. Don't have time to go over it. We went too long. Let's get this straight. Dealing with the injustices of police brutality, it should be criminalized. There should be some heavy penalty. Now, I know we always say Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. The reason we say Black Lives Matter instead of all lives, we know all lives matter. The point is, we need to fix something with Black lives first, because Black lives is not considered in the all lives matter. You can yell that all you want, but a lot of people that are not black are getting more lenient sentences and more lenient when it comes to a whole bunch of things. Yet black people don't get that leniency, especially black people who were here from the foundation. Cops could kill a black man. People say, what about black on black crime? I say, what about white on white crime? Crime is crime. You cannot stop nobody from doing something stupid like killing somebody. The color isn't the issue always. It's the act. What just happened? Somebody got killed. The problem is when you expect somebody who's supposed to be protecting you, serving and protecting you, and they're beating and brutalizing you, and they get off for it. It's nothing. Wipe their hands. Nothing. Let's just put them in jail and cut off the cameras and hang them. Let's let them start. They need medication. Let's don't give them some medication. Or, okay, he's reaching for he's letting me know he got a gun, but he's going in to get his license and registration. Oh, it looked like he's getting a gun. Or, why are you running from me? Pop, 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 pop. And don't get punished for it. That's what we talking about. A black man can kill a frog and he looking at 5 to 10. Minimum. A frog. All the hell that Michael Vick went through, and his family the one, and I know his family the one ran Bad News Kennel and was raising dogs and fighting dogs. That was his family. Michael Vick had nothing to do with it, but because it was on a property that he bought for his family, he went through hell and high water, had to go to jail for that. Had to go to jail. For a dog that he didn't kill. But yet a police officer killed somebody, and we'll put him on suspended leave for 2 weeks without pay or with pay. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Thank God for video. Thank God for video. So what I'm saying is the foundation of this group is police injustice. It is. Its major purpose isn't to push the true necessary needs of the black community, because if it was, then they will be drafting a black only agenda, a black first, a black exclusive agenda first, and we tackle the needs in that, and then we'll work on the all colors, the all matters type stuff. Now, I'm going to read off to you. Let me see. See that? That's on my Facebook group. I agree with Professor Black Truth. I agree with Jason Black. And I don't oftentimes agree all the time with anybody. Our agenda is different. This is black needs that need to be taken care of. Not black wants, black needs. The agenda must be black people and black people only. Number one, first and foremost, black people and black people only. Take care of everybody else later. Stay focused on this. It's not that we don't care about other people. Right now we don't. But not that we don't. It's just that we're trying to stay focused. They're all over the place with this stuff. You can't trust them. And what they need to do is bow down to this instead of coming up with their own agenda. But because of politics is funding them to try to push forward with this mess. Second thing is black society. Top priority is economic empowerment. Our top priority isn't to remove Trump. even though Trump need to be removed. Our top priority is not to get Joe Biden in, even though, to me, Joe Biden shouldn't even be in that office. Both of them are lying, pathological, racist, rapists with rape allegations. I don't want to have neither of these turkeys in office, but our number one agenda is not who replaces who. Our number one agenda is economic empowerment. Now, how are you going to get economic power? We're going to tell you. That's the number one agenda, economic empowerment, not, laws on policing and things like that. It's part of our agenda, but it's not number one. With Black Lives Matter, that is not number one. Number 3, the total dismantling of systemic white supremacy. They mentioned a little bit of that, but they're not going to go too far in that. Why? Because white supremacists are funding their organization. Rob, you sound like a Republican. When I say white supremacists, you got a lot of corporate organizations that are ran by white supremacists that are donating into this organization. Why? Because they don't want the true grassroots to rise up. So they got to they'll rather fund somebody to take over the narrative, take over the initiative, to see if they can take over the protests. Now, they don't want to admit to this, but it is happening. I just showed you some companies, the Kellogg Company and all that, investing in Black Lives Matter. They're not going to invest. Ain't none of that money going to Professor Black Truth. None of them. It's not going to Yvette Cornell. None of them. Because they know the grassroots on this, not that crap. And you think that bill is going to get passed with a Republican? You think that bill is going to get passed with Democrats? The only reason most Democrats will support that bill is because they're trying to secure the black vote. It's selfish. They're not doing it because they really care. They're doing it because they need that black vote. They don't want to do nothing to mess up that black vote. Millions of black people in other colors are coming out to the streets. And if we got to be very careful on how we handle these millions upon millions of people in the streets, of all colors pushing a so-called black agenda. So we'll come out there with our kente cloth on and get on our knees and can't get up. Help me, please. Number 2, again, black society's top priority is economic empowerment. That is where the strength lies. That is where the power lies. It's in the dollar. It's not in the marching. It's in the dollar. That's one of the major stones that white supremacists will hold a fort over before they let you knock that stone down. That's a stone that they'll rather die than let you overturn. And they'll probably rather kill than let you overturn that too. That's why I said it's going to be a fight. They ain't fighting on a real agenda. It's mammy-pammy. We're talking about something real right here. 3, the total dismantling of systemic white supremacy. The total dismantling of systemic white supremacy. 4, white supremacists and police violence is a human rights violation. Where are your laws? You talking about taking the money and doing this and that and investing into all communities, all that kind of bull crap. Are you asking that police violence become a human rights violation? Because if you're not asking for that to be made, then the police officers are going to continue to crack heads. Some of them don't mind paying the money. $1 million out of our budget, we'll get a recoup on our insurance anyway. No, you got to make it where it's a human right violation. 5, schools can no longer weaponize against black children. In other words, the police department, don't mind the police department being in school, but hey, you can't be weaponizing. And then that's including textbooks. That including education too. Intellectual knowledge. You can't use white supremacist teaching as a weapon against black people to make them feel like they're small. You tell them about all these so-called great men in history that shaped this country, and half of them hated black people and brutalized black people. You name schools after them. Washington Post wrote an article about changing the name of a school named after Washington. But they are the Washington Post. They won't change the name of the newspaper, but they'll write an article about a school changing the name from Washington to another name. Number 6, remove symbols of institutionalized racism on public ground. That's where we get the statues from. Why? Because there's a markers of racism, and people don't need to be reminded that white people. That's it. To me, these monuments being put up to men are another form of idolatry, and it really their way of saying we want to remind you that we built this, not you. And I'm here to remind you, if you got all these white statues, you need to have a whole bunch of black statues up to say, no, we built this together. You ain't built this on your own. Matter of fact, a lot of things you stole from us. Number 7, mandatory public and private contract reserved for black businesses. Did you hear her say anything like that? You got private contracts, make sure we get them, because we need to close the wealth gap. And last but not least, which is the main thing, reparations across the board. Meaning, cut the check. Yes, cash payments to American descendants of slaves. Cut the check, that's it. Don't give me this mammy-pammy punk reparations that make HR 40 smile. We don't want that crap. Don't want that crap. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys being on. I can't see who's on. Let me see if I could check my phone to see who's up here. Now, look, guys, I'm not the one to ask for financial support. I mean, we are in a pandemic still, and a lot of people don't have jobs. I'm just going to let you know what I'm doing. If you got it to be a blessing, don't mind it. But don't be overburdened. Look, I'm not begging. I'm just letting you know that they demonetized my video more than I eat. This video is going to get demonetized. So instead of giving them the opportunity to demonetize my video, I just don't monetize my video. Now, am I losing some advertising dollars? Not much, because their advertising dollars ain't that much. The money YouTubers like me I don't make no good money until I'm in the 100,000s. And right now, they're trying to shut off my subscribers. That's why I said make sure you still subscribe, because them knuckleheads, them fools will unsubscribe you, and you didn't even unsubscribe. So go and check that. And if you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell and make sure it's on always, because I can drop a video, whoop, there it is at any time, depending on how urgent the subject is. And if you do want to contribute to the channel, you can do it through PayPal. I prefer PayPal. You can do it at Cash App at $BobTVNYC, all caps, or paypal.me/BobTVNYC, all caps. I put that out there because, you know, I'm working on a budget. I want to get at least a budget of $1,500, but I mean, if it has to come out of my own pocket, I come out of my own pocket. I'm not stressing, but I want to give other people the opportunity to donate if they want to donate. I'm not going to keep coming up here talking about this, but I'm just letting you know, I'm sick and tired of YouTube demonetizing my video. I work hard on these videos. Usually when I do live, I go back and chop it up and edit all this stuff myself. The logo you see up there with the moon, the Bobby Brown Show, I do all that. The music, some of it I get it from royalty free, but some of the beats that you hear up there, I don't want to pay nobody to make no beat. I make my own beats. So that's how I'm truly a one-man show. Truly a one-man show. So I leave it up to people to donate to the channel if you want to. But I do want to let you know, not stressing. I believe in a God, and I believe God will provide, either use you or somebody else. He's going to look out for me, because I love doing this and I work hard at this. I'm not the best at it. Don't claim to be. I'm still in learning phase, especially when it comes to this live thing. And, you know, and I appreciate all 10,000 of you plus. 10,000 plus. I'm still overwhelmed with the 10,000. Some people get 1 million and they're blown away. I'm overwhelmed with 10,000 plus. Man, imagine what I'd do if I got to 11,000. But these knuckleheads are not trying to get me to 11,000. They're demonetizing. They're trying to make sure people don't see my videos. That's why I say like, share, do all that. Do all that if you can. It is truly appreciated, and it keeps me humbled because I'm really trusting something bigger than me to make this grow. And I thank God he's using you. I'm thanking God that you using you to let everybody know about it. Tell 5, 10 friends of yours about it. Send it to their inbox and Facebook and everything, especially if they're black. And tell them, put down here, make sure the main thing is the main thing. BLM do not represent true black needs in America. And show them this video. Yeah, all right. All right, so I'm Robert Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I appreciate you. I'll see you next week. Thank you for hanging in there with me while I readjust to my new location. I love you guys. And hey, look. Keep getting the word out. And keep loving yourself. And don't let nobody co-opt this. Speak out against this. This is insane. They're trying to take over a true grassroots black exclusive movement. And it's not trying to be separatism. It's not trying to be detach ourselves from all people. Then again, it is. Because all people don't come from where we come from. And that's just that. We're not a minority. We're a majority in America. We built this country. And we want the same thing as anybody else who built this country from the founding of this country got. And that's equality 100%, and that's including the dollar. I'm Robert Brown, better known as Bobby with the Bobby Brown Show. I'll see you next week. Peace.